Hello, good afternoon. It's 12 o'clock in London, so good morning and good evening to everyone else in the rest of the world. I'm just about to start. Uh, I've got my lovely guest who's just joined as well, which I'm looking forward to bringing. So let me just bring my lovely guest Koletta, who we get to discuss the book The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. So yes, let me just and yes, I've got a mask on because I've just had dental surgery, so apologies. My face is like, hello. Oh, oh, oops. Okay, let me just bring her back on. I think she just disappeared for a second. Yeah, sorry, Rahul, I can't. I've had dental surgery. My mouth is like uh, completely blown up. So yeah.
I
Hi,
can't see
Koletta.
myself.
Can you not? Oh no.
Can you see me?
I can see you.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. I can see you. It's fine. I can't see myself. Maybe for the best.
Yeah, maybe it might make us all feel less nervous if we could see ourselves. So if you can't see it. Yeah. Thanks so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. Again, apologies for the mask. Just still
It's all
dealing
good.
with swelling. So yes. And then so amazing book to recommend, Eckhart Tolle, of course. So when was the first time you read the book, anyways?
Um, that would have been a couple of years ago. Um, I was given a book by a friend. Basically, The Power of Now saved her life, and she then bought a bunch of books that she sent to people. And so a couple of years ago, she sent the book to me, and I read it. Um, it must have been around like when the first lockdown happened.
Hmm. That's
This is
pretty
how,
profound. Yeah, during lockdown.
yeah, maybe before, but yeah. So then I read the. No, it was during the lockdown. Yeah, and it blew my mind.
That is amazing. That's yeah, because it's very profound at a time like that to be reading a book about sitting with yourself, essentially, right? Since we all had to sit with ourselves during the lockdown.
Yeah. So yeah, so I've read it, but I think like on its own, like Tolly is really hard to read. Like the concepts are, it's quite difficult. So for me, like it wasn't just Power of Now. Um, then after that, I read Mark Manson, We All Fucked, and a book about hope. And that kind of, Mark Manson is the way he talks, it's like very simple. Fuck you, fuck that, and you're done. And so that kind of solidified the concepts really well. So going with Tully, where it's like so, out there, and then having something that essentially says the same thing, just in a different language, um, made sense.
Hmm. Yeah, totally.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm like, the book obviously is yeah, as you say, is a heavy read, and I'm like, from the book itself, do you feel like I think Tolle actually says we derive our sense of self based on what's in our sort of input, essentially. So do you feel like you've disidentified from your own mind from like getting starting to read those kind of books?
I think, because I suffered with anxiety and depression, essentially that's what it is. Your depression part is, you living in the past, which is like, you know, because I'm conscious of what I just said, because I'm not saying that because essentially, I believe depression is the thing, and everyone suffers differently, and everyone. I'm not trying to take away feelings and other people's experiences, but I'm saying what it was for me. Um, So for me, it was a lot of what happened to me in the past and me not accepting that. And anxiety was a lot of me living of wondering what's going to happen. So then you completely disconnected from yourself because you live in the past or the future and you're not there.
Totally. And obviously that's that was a really big part of the book as well, isn't it? Which is like that if we focus only on the present and ignore the past and the future, do you think you can really improve your life?
Yeah, I think when you so I think we're not taught to be conscious. Like that's one of we taught in schools mathematics, English, all the other stuff. We're not taught to be conscious, and I think and aware and present. And I think when when you're not there, when you're not here, we're just so distracted by everything else, and with social media, and especially we're just so out of touch. And I think when you learn to be present, when you conscious, but you have to practice that, like anything.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Totally.
from 1 minute
Totally.
to 2 minutes, second by second, and you like I still don't do that. Like not all the time.
Yeah, me neither. Yeah, I was about to ask you, which is, have you put it into practice? Like, have you been doing various like meditations, mindfulness, and
Uh, I'm better than I was. So I do a lot of so I journal every day. I
oh,
do a
cool.
future self journal where every day every month I pick a subject I want to work on. Like for example, at the moment, um, I'm trying not to be reactive.
Mm,
So observing my emotions and not assigning myself to my emotions. So like I do that every morning. I get up really early, so I get up at 5 every morning, most mornings, and I drink coffee, and so that I have a watch, set an alarm to 10 a.m., which then brings me into the present. But of course, I worry about future. I think what's gonna happen to me, and I still don't accept sometimes things when I cry and my ego is just all over the place. So I am better, but not ideal.
yeah. I'm like, I think we're always a work in progress, to be fair. We spend our lives trying to be better, isn't it? And
Mhm.
so I'm like, he talks about pain a lot, obviously, in the book. And in your opinion, do you think like pain is like nothing more than like a self-centered inner resistance to sort of external things that you cannot change, which is a quote that he uses. So, i.e., like, does pain breed more pain?
I think for me, I think yes, in a way. Not accepting, yes, but I think a lot of it, you know, if we say like, oh, pain you don't accept, and blah blah, that invalidates a lot of people. You know,
Mm,
because it's easy to say, oh, you don't accept it. Just deal with it, because that's
mm.
essentially what Tolle is saying.
Yeah,
But
pretty
then
much.
we can't. If you have trauma where you've been raped, if you have trauma of being beaten up, or you were hurt by your parents, that is pain, and like it's valid pain.
Yeah.
And you know yes, if you would accept what, like, but like it depends on your pain. So some
Mm,
pain, it's painful and it hurts, and it's not because you're not accepting it, because if you've been raped you shouldn't accept that.
No, no, no.
It's not. So I think, like, for me, like, if you lost a job and you're crying, like, there's no point to cry, but we still do. But because we then don't like what happened. But if you're talking some pain is very hard and difficult. So then, that's valid pain. But I think if you can't, if you're hard and if we're not talking about subjects that are really, difficult, then if you don't accept things, then yeah, you're creating pain because, you're it's not going to change. So whatever you do, you're just wasting your energy. Like, if so, for example, when I lost my job, I was crying that I lost my job, but at the end of the day, there's nothing I can do. I can accept and move on and find another job. And if we constantly say, like, this shouldn't happen to me, why is this happening? Well, it happened. So now move on.
Yeah, no, no, I totally understand. There is a sort of kind of a line, isn't it, between like very extreme kind of cases and then also like the sort of the everyday sort of things. And
Yeah.
obviously, losing a job is painful too, but I see what you mean in terms of getting stuck, right,
Yeah.
in that that headspace. And and I I found it interesting because obviously then he also talks about sort of the connection between the mind and the body, right? And I was just wondering, like, how connected do you think is the mind for you, the mind and the body for you? And do you think it's fully possible to disconnect from your mind?
I think, like, obviously your body and mind is very connected because, if you look from anxiety and depression perspective, or there are cases, but I'm not a doctor, but where pain is so the mind pain is so bad that it comes through physically. So when you're anxious, you start, like, shaking or tapping a foot. So you do express what happens in your head through your body. What was the question again? The second part?
Just for yourself, like, do you find like your mind and body is like really connected? And do you think you can disconnect?
I don't think I'm connected. I think I neglect my body very much. Yeah. So I don't think I'm very good. But I think you can, like, through practice you can disconnect your mind. You learn to be completely present. And I think that's, because people meditation, that is complete. I could be more connected, but I'm not that, not as much as I would like to.
Yeah, no, fair enough. And I could say the same thing about myself as well. So it's all like we're all trying, I think is the case, isn't it?
I honestly believe that mindfulness, consciousness, awareness should be taught at school.
Yeah, I agree.
We are so far away from doing that.
Completely.
And we taught mathematics that we never ever again use it, but we're not taught such a basic thing. But the problem is that the people that are teaching us are as unaware and unconscious as we, as the people they would be teaching. But I fully believe that this should be taught in school.
Oh, I agree. And I know that there's been several experiments in the US where they brought in mindfulness to prisoners, and it was just completely life changing for some people to
Yeah.
bring that kind of inner peace in some sort of sense.
Yeah.
And it works for children too. Just have some kind of understanding that it's okay to have those thoughts and just to sit with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just hopefully at some point, it will start being more widespread.
Yeah.
But and I was actually wondering, like, there was a whole bit about active waiting, which was what I think Eckhart Tolle was saying, like he talks about obviously the power of now, but there is an aspect where he says, of course, there are certain things you can do in the now to help the future.
Mm.
So, for example, like climate change, this is something where you can actually actively do something without just being like, oh, I need to worry about the future.
Hmm.
And so, how do you get more people to sort of be more alert to taking action in the now for the future?
Well, I think, if we start to become conscious of what we do, of what we are, of what we eat, then we become conscious of what we buy and
Yeah.
what we put out. So I think if we are conscious and aware, then you're conscious of what you buy. So, for example, I hate shopping. So, but I used to buy stuff and like, okay, whatever. But now I'm like, I look at stuff and I was like, okay, so what purpose does it serve? And then if it doesn't serve a purpose, I don't buy it. And I'm conscious,
Mm,
like when I look at stuff, and I'm like, am I looking for stuff because I need it
yeah.
or because I think I need it? And then consciously buy stuff. So I try, I'm aware. So like, for example, I buy milk from a milkman because it comes in a glass bottle. I support a small business. I'm
Mm,
conscious about it.
very good. Mm,
So, if we take those steps, if we conscious, if you're unhappy and you are shopping and that's why you do stuff, then, if you're conscious, then you'll buy less and you consume less. You'll be aware of what you're buying, where your stuff
mm,
comes from and things like that. So then in process, you'll help.
yeah. No, I totally agree. I'm like, I don't, I'm like you. I hate shopping, and but like at one point I needed to buy a jumper, so hence I got this jumper, and then I noticed, like it was 95% made of recycled like materials, which I was like, yes, that is great, and it's something I'd never really thought about, but have been thinking about more consciously recently. Like,
Yeah.
if I'm gonna buy something, is it recycled? What should I like? How to look for those things? So, I feel like I'm not sure if you agree or not, but that more people are becoming aware of doing these things.
Mm, want to say yes, but I'm also highly aware that I live in a chamber of
Mm.
liberal, socialist leading, humans. So when I think that people are becoming more woke and
Ah.
conscious, in my circle, yes, but then if I would go and see Barry down the road, no offense to Barry, so no anyone listening, I doubt he's very aware. You
Yeah.
know,
I.
so when you are aware that you're likely to have aware people around you that do the right thing,
Mm.
but then you know
Yeah, it's
there's a
tricky, isn't it?
there's a completely different group of people that think completely different to me out there. You know,
Yeah.
hashtag Brexit.
Yeah. So true. God, it's so true.
Where it was like, whoa, you know,
Yeah,
there are
totally.
racists out there. Like,
Yeah.
truly.
Yeah, it was a shock coming from the London bubble here,
Yeah.
seeing that because we just didn't expect it at all. So yeah, but you're right. We do live in a bit of an echo chamber with these things, which is problematic, obviously. So,
Yeah. So
um,
when we think like, yes, more people probably are aware, but a lot of it aren't. But obviously things are
mm,
getting better. I recently read a book called Factfulness, and things are better, and they are getting better even if we don't notice it. But for time, well, of course, people are more aware than, let's say, 10 years ago.
mm,
But I'm also very conscious that we do live in echo chambers, and social media purpose is to connect like-minded people. Um,
yeah,
so algorithm does its job, so we see what we like to see because that's the purpose that algorithm serves.
yeah,
So not always, you know, but as the author of Factfulness said, things are getting better, and we, no doubt, comparing to past 10 years, yes.
Definitely. Well, fingers crossed, anyways. And yeah, I think okay, so pain again, going back to pain, which was as I think Tolle says, a lot of pain is kind of self-created and some is unavoidable. So how do you deal with that kind of two levels of pain?
I think for me, like with Dolly and then with Mark Manson, I had a lot of trauma when I was a kid. And I had two parents who drank so much. And for years, I didn't accept what happened. I blamed my parents, and and I hated them and blah blah blah. So now, I learned to accept that. It's not going to change. Me crying over it every year and thinking, well, like, I didn't have a childhood because you drank. It doesn't serve a purpose. And then, so you have to accept, the pain that happened to you, it's valid. Like, I'm not saying that my pain, I don't invalidate my pain or anyone else's pain. My pain is valid, but I have to accept that and move past it. And when it comes to, just normal pain, like everyday stuff, well, you have to accept that too. You just have to, like, of course I cry in the meantime. Like, when I lost my job, when I was made redundant, sucked,
Yeah.
You cry a little, you're disappointed, but you don't have to move on. And I think that's the important bit. But I am very resilient, and I'm aware of that. Not everyone has that. And but then, for me, because the way I am, it's like, well, I can cry about it. Well, I'll go and do some, like, I'll carry on going while still crying, but move on and do stuff. Because there's no point, really.
Yeah.
I lost my, I was made redundant. I can't do anything about it. Cry and move on. Like, if you can continue crying and moaning about it, well, you can do that. But it's a bit pointless, really.
Actually, well, Koletta, would you say that's how you deal with kind of negativity as well? Like,
I'm really negative.
Hilarious.
I'm very sarcastic and negative, but because when you have trauma, you learn to cope with that through self-criticism, sarcasm, and so I'm very negative. I'm more of a glass half empty kind of person, but like, I move on and I'll do stuff, and I'm like, I'm like, but I'll, but then I go, okay, well, that's a bit pointless, and you have to get over that. Like, regardless of my positivity or my negativity, like, shit still needs to be done. Are you allowed to say shit on this podcast?
No, who cares?
So, like, you have to, but I will moan about stuff all the time. I'll
Right.
rant and I'll rave, but then I'm still gonna do it and accept it. But like, I could save myself a lot of time, and I just accepted it. But I still moan and rant and everything else.
Interesting. Yeah, no, I get that. And so, like, after reading Tolle's book, what rating would you give it? Because obviously, I see you've picked up a few bits from the book, but like, what? Obviously, there are some things that Tolle says that aren't always completely acceptable. I'm like, that's what I found, anyways. So I was just wondering, what rating would you give it?
Well, I'll give it 5 stars because it has been life-changing for me. But with anything, do I agree with everything Tully says? God, no. Jesus, for me, it's like, I do quit everything and sat on a bench for a year, like, or whatever. Like, not everyone has the cash or the need, you have
Yeah.
mortgage to pay, you have to work, you have kids, not everyone. So, like, I believe in what he teaches, and there's a bit of a psychobabble, that is a bit too much for me. Because I'm like Mark Manson is probably more my writing style.
Yeah.
You know, but I give it 5 stars because it was life changing. It was eye opening, and I was like, oh, you know. So it helped me so much. So I've been doing therapy for years, absolute years, and you know, and it's not just Tolle. Obviously, there's a mix of things that go in that part that helped me. But what I'm trying to say is that I give it 5 stars, and you know, with anything, there's positives and there's negatives, but you can ignore what is not relevant to you. The teaching and what he's saying is true, and you have to follow that. And I think everyone should do it because it reduces the pain. So with the, you know, with Tolle and Mark Manson and other Instagram stuff I've been doing, you know, finding, I managed to I dropped my medication. I stopped taking my antidepressants. I've been taking antidepressants for 3 years. And I wouldn't say I'm healed. Like I still have a long way to go, but I'm better. And it's because of those people. I'm quite emotional now. Jesus, I'm crying on a live Instagram live.
No, honestly, I feel you. I totally do.
So it was like so important, you know, it life changing, and to you know, help me so much. So definitely 5 stars.
Amazing. That's so good to hear because I feel like it might help someone else, that book. So thank you for sharing that because maybe someone else will read that book and will feel
Yeah.
something the same, especially if they went through something similar as well. So, and I would love to come back with you and discuss Mark Manson's book at some point if you are up for it.
Yeah. I might need to catch up on that because interesting thing. So the idea when I was given the book, I was told to give it to someone else, and sadly I fell out with that person, and they still got the book. So I don't have my own copy of The Power of Now, but one thing I learned to accept it.
Yeah, exactly.
But
You
yeah,
accepted it.
Mark Manson is a great guy.
Cool. Yeah, I agree. And like I like how he writes things as well. So I think you're right in terms of it's much more accessible. So yeah, I agree. But obviously I think all of the foundation comes to a lot from the Tolle books, isn't it? They call yeah,
It's like psychology 101 for dum-dums.
yeah. And thanks Rahul as well down below, who's also thinking of reading the book now as a result. So
Oh,
thank
I
you.
can't see anything because there's a thing that's just stuck on half of the screen.
Oh, that's
Um,
so annoying. Oh, yeah, but we've got people who are going to read hopefully the book as
oh,
well.
amazing.
So thanks.
Are you gonna leave the live for 24 hours or whatever the thing is? The
Yeah, like I'm going to what it will happen after this is that I'll come off this, I'll save the video
oh,
to my account. So it will pop up as a post onto
okay.
the account. And then I'll also pop this onto the YouTube channel. So we can have like this discussion right across the board, and hopefully it will help someone else. And give
Amazing.
yeah, fingers crossed. And huge thanks, Koletta. Really
Thank you so
appreciate your
much for
thoughts.
having me.
No, I really appreciate it. And thank you for being so vulnerable and sharing your thoughts because I know it's not easy, especially if you've been through trauma,
Yeah.
to discuss things like this. And, you know, I really appreciate your candidness. And, you know, this is a safe space. So, you know, it's going nowhere. So I'll keep your safe space here. So,
Thank
yeah.
you.
Amazing. And thanks to everyone who joined as well. Really appreciate it. And hopefully we get to do this again soon with our friend Koletta here with the Mark Manson book. So, yes,
Awesome.
cool. Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Bye.